Is enlightenment the end? All right, that is the question for number 128 on the list of the 144 fractal faculties of the Tree of Life. If you'd like me to send you out a free copy of my guide to the 144 fractal faculties of the Tree of Life, it's just a listing of all of them and a few sentences about each. It's good as a reference work and just to get you a little bit up to speed, and also being able to compare and contrast and just have it all in front of you to be able to see the big picture. That's for free. Just put your name and email in the description, in the comment section, and I'll send it out to you. Also, you can check out my video called Tree of Life, an Introduction on YouTube. And that's a 10-minute long video that will help you to be able to follow along with all these videos. A little bit deeper dive, if you invest $10, send me $10 on Cash App or Venmo, listed in the description, and I will send you out a copy of my book called The Mass Tree, which is an introduction to the Tree of Life. It's about 65 pages, and it'll get you a little bit of a deeper dive. Okay, now today we're talking about number 128. Here we see the tree, and remember, the Tree of Life is a map of our consciousness, and like maps, it is a two-dimensional depiction of a three-dimensional reality, and or at least three. And you know, you can think of the tree as being a counter rotation. It's rotating in both directions, and so it's symmetrical from the center, but these sides can be either one or the other. It can be rotating this way, and it also is rotating this way, and it depends on your state of mind, which side is on which side. If you're, this would be on the left-hand side if you are in a trance state, and this would be on the left-hand side if you're in beta. Okay, so if you're in alpha, theta, or delta, then you're over here. A lot of that information is coming from Jose Silva, the Silva method, where he talks about how the future always comes from the left-hand side. And this is the future. This is more like the past. This is the visual side. And this is more like the auditory side, all up and down. But today, for number 128, we actually are in the middle of the tree at number 100, at the first sphere. Each one of these circles or spheres represents a faculty of our consciousness, or an aspect of our consciousness. The whole tree is a map of our consciousness, but each one of the spheres is an aspect of our consciousness. So there are really 12 aspects of our consciousness, all the way from 10 all the way to 0, and then also with the abyss in the center here. And so that's a total of 12. Now, what faculty of consciousness is represented by the first sphere? It is the omnipresence faculty, one of our three divine faculties. We've got omnipotence, all-powerful, for 3. 2 is omniscience, or all-knowing, and 1 is omnipresence, or all-present everywhere at once, eternally. So this is all-present everywhere at once, eternally. But that's slightly a misnomer. It's not, it's all-present, but it doesn't mean that it is everywhere. It is not so much on the surface of things as in the center of things. It's an underlying phenomena, or a subsisting phenomena. It's at the center of everything, but it is buried beneath layers of, kind of like layers of illusion. And in order to really be able to sink deep down into our deepest center, where our higher self is. It's another way of thinking of it as a higher self. Then we have to get very, very still, or to be able to tune in very, very closely. It's an extremely subtle vibration that is generally and normally drowned out by all the other vibrations above it. So we have to really kind of come to grips with all of these other spheres and be able to put them to rest before we can sink far enough to get all the way to the center. Okay, so it's not everywhere, it's within everywhere. It's within every location. And it's a unifying factor in that when we are able to sink all the way to our deepest center, we discover that what is at our deepest center is exactly the same thing that what is at everyone else's deepest center and everything else's deepest center. That's how we're all connected through this underlying ether, this network of it's kind of like a network of communication, transmission, but it's not even really a transmission because they're all the same. They're all there simultaneously, and everyone's center is there, and they're all identical, and it connects all of us. It's a network that connects all of us, but only at our center. Okay, so the first sphere is really kind of that description. Now, how do we get from one of the 12 faculties of consciousness all the way to 144 fractal faculties of consciousness? Well, the first thing that we have to do is we have to take the tree to the second power. 12 times 12 is 144. So we get to the second power of things by taking the whole tree and shrinking it down to the size of just one sphere, and then applying it to each sphere. So we break down the 10th sphere into its 12 parts, the 9th sphere into its 12 parts. So the 10th sphere has a mini 10th sphere, a mini 9th sphere, a mini 8th sphere, a mini 7th sphere, or otherwise you could say a fractal 10th sphere, 9th sphere, or a fractional 10th, 9th sphere, and so on. So 12 here, 12 here, 12 here, 12 here, and so on, for a total of 144. So when we extrapolate that to the first sphere, we're seeing a mini 10th sphere, a mini 9th sphere, a mini 8th sphere within the overall context of this omnipresence, or this first sphere. And for number 128, what we're really dealing with is a mini abyss within this first sphere. So what does the abyss correspond to? Well, if you recall, the abyss is about our psychic powers, which really have two elements to them. Now, our psychic powers, a lot of times you think of them as telekinesis and teleportation, and those are really the more exotic psychic powers, and they have to do with kind of a more off-the-wall manifestation of the psychic powers. The more universal psychic powers have to do with our ability to perceive, recognize, and act upon omens. And an omen is anything that is like anomalous or against statistical probability, something that is a very coincidental or very synchronistic, where there are numbers or names that are repeating, recurring, that's very much against the flow of statistics, where it's like, wow, that was really weird. That was a really strange thing. And when those kind of things happen to us, we have to be able to be receptive to them, to say not just, oh, well, that was really weird, and go on to our day, but to say, wow, that was really weird. That must be something important that I need to pay attention to. Okay, that's your psychic receptivity, to recognize the importance of the omen, recognize the omen, recognize its importance, and pay attention. And then the second part of the omen is the psychic heat, because when you pay attention to the omen, then you will get a corresponding action that you should be taking in response to the omen. So when you get the omen, you have to recognize that this is really anomalous. This is a highly coincidental occurrence, and that you should pay attention to it. When you pay attention to it, you will be able to receive an action that you should take as a result. But that action is going to be difficult to take because it puts you out there. It requires courage to act upon the omen, because you're kind of acting upon something that other people don't see. And so, it's kind of like talking to your imaginary friend out loud. Everybody else is looking at it like, what is that person talking about? What is that person doing? I don't see any catalyst for that behavior that other person is doing, because the omen is only really being presented to you, and so what to do, but it takes courage to do it. So those are really the two parts of the psychic powers: psychic receptivity and psychic heat, and they're represented by two snakes that go through the various middle pillar spheres. And it's also really a magnetic phenomena. Has to do with the omen itself is the magnetic charge, and the psychic heat is our ability to align ourselves with that magnetic charge. So when you're talking about number 128, you're talking about that psychic powers within this overall context of the omnipresence of the first sphere. And so that all shakes out into number 128, rainbodhisattvatorus rex. Bodhisattva, or sage, and the rainbow Taurus found their way back. Those who have achieved enlightenment, but then found their way back to the mundane world and stopped at the edge, are called Oser in the ancient Egyptian, Bodhisattva in Sanskrit. Experience, and we become more and more detached, like a mummy, coming back, not beholden to the world, but having a certain detachment, like a torus, an extra dimensional sphere, moving from the center to the periphery and vice versa. Once you get to the center, there's a fast track all the way to the periphery. And once you're at the periphery, you get recycled back to the center. There's an extra loop in the torus, and that torus also is what a magnetic field appears, the way it appears. Bodhisattva, choice or chance to come back to the samsara, or the world of illusion, the wheel of reincarnation, back on the wheel to help the humans. On another level, back into the suffering of the samsara. On another level, maybe a retreat, but not an escape. There is no escape. After the ecstasy, the laundry, right? But here, the ecstasy is long term. The higher self within is very faint and requires complete stillness to tune in. It must get calm enough to become transparent, the sea of the mind, so we can see all the way to the bottom center. But not only see all the way, but actually sink all the way to the bottom and to the center. Getting to the bottom of things. The crown chakra, the unconditioned mind, pure potential, wide open. Satipatthana, in the heart center. What is absolute stillness as we perceive it? It is the natural reference system. And the Satipatthana is keeping the heart stable. That is really like the emotions that have us on waves, depending upon all the new stimuli that come into our consciousness. We have to be able to keep our heart still and not react to those all those different stimuli that come in. The purpose of mankind's existence is to become ethical, to control life consciously, to control instinct, to control emotion, our animal. Unconscious content. We come back to fulfill that purpose. Okay, that's number 128, the abyss, fractal within the first sphere, rainbodhisattvatorus Rex. And thanks for tuning in. We will have more to say about this as we move along. There's a little bit of geometry there, some Buddhist thinking theory there as well. Also, the natural reference system of the reciprocal system of Dewey B. Larson, outward in all directions at the speed of light, is actually what we perceive as absolute stillness. All right, stay tuned for number 129 on this list coming up here in the near future. Also, again, click the link or put your name and email address in the comments section if you'd like to receive the my guide to the 144 fractal faculties of the Tree of Life. And you can get that for free just if you put your name and email in the comment section. Also, you can buy my book, The Mass Tree, An Intro to the Tree of Life, Reclaiming the Kabbalah from the Cabal. And that's $10. You pay me that on Cash App or Venmo, put it into the memo, and I will send that out to you. You can also donate to me with no strings attached on Cash App and Venmo. Stay tuned for number 129 coming out tomorrow. And other videos are being planned and researched and prepared for the future of this channel. It's going to be great. I promise. And otherwise, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.